You talk about the men and women, and I want to read this because it struck a chord with me. They drank, the men, and stayed married to resilient women of practical grace. And here's where I think the big difference between the honor and loyalty comes in. Practical grace who endured the profane to protect the sacred.
Right. Yeah, I think that we've all witnessed that. We've all known people in our lives who were maybe the more humble people and unsung in their day. And it doesn't just happen to happen in rural poverty, it happens everywhere, even in opulence, that have a grace about them and so much gravity and are for the most part unflappable. They understand what to change and what to try not to change, but they will absolutely at all costs protect the sacred. And they will in fact endure the profane around them if that is part of protecting the sacred.
You know, you talk about depth of morality. I mean, that's, I don't know, that described it quite good, but you talked about the pain. Not all wounds that harm us can be cupped in our hand, examined. Often they are not even our own. They are not so plain, so neat. Plain, neat pain is easy. Those that are not, that's the hardest pain to take care of. It may not even be seen or shown.
Even to yourself. I mean, if the pain is within, very frequently we all feel angst and pain, and we don't know why. We maybe haven't been able to identify it. Maybe in our entire lifetimes we never sorted out to identify it, and those are very hard to do. A great example in current times is we've got a lot of young men and women coming back from war zones with post-traumatic stress disorder. Some of those are easily diagnosable, not easily treatable, and some of them are not. But you know, stress takes place. Trauma and stress take place throughout life for all of us, and you can't always identify the pain. And sometimes the pain that most affects your life exists within someone else that you're also not able to identify. And it's not so neat and easy. You can't understand why someone's acting the way they're acting. I mean, even if you're a great empath and you're one of those people that everybody says, man, they really get me. They really get everybody they talk to. Sometimes you don't get it. And those are the most difficult scars to deal with.
Well, the one thing, even if you get it or you don't get it, what this book shows us, and I'll use your words though, is, in fact, here it is, he persevered. Perseverance. It's a theme of the show. I have to level with you. I've used it from physics on whatnot, because when you deal with the randomness of physics, you learn that it's only the amount of times you keep trying to bomb that particle that makes the difference. It's the at-bats, so to speak. And this Levi, the character in the book, a long-shot bumpkin who refuses to see where he shouldn't be. That part right there, when you may know in the bottom of your heart that you should be doing this, but it's not right, because you really should be doing this. And the only way you can survive is due to time, because those things just take time.
They do take time, and I think that there are people who are born with perseverance. I think a lot of times perseverance is learned by necessity. People can be born into situations where they really feel they have no alternative, and they will persevere because it's that or die, whether it's physically or metaphorically. It's either that or die. And most great things that happen in life are issues of perseverance. It's easy to be good at something. Well, not entirely easy for everybody to be good at something, but a lot of people are good at something. But to be truly great at something, to truly have accomplished something that's extraordinary, it takes extraordinary perseverance. These are not normal people. People who come out of very, very bad circumstances and end up succeeding in their own eyes. It probably took great perseverance to do that. I think there's a passage, or there's a point at which Levi is talking to one of the characters, Crawford, who is his corporate nemesis. And he mentions to Crawford, Crawford is querying him as to, do you really think you belong here? He says, well, sometimes I can't believe I got invited to the party. And Crawford lights up because you know, that's exactly Crawford's opinion. No one should have invited you to the party. And it's about, you know, people stay in their social order, or they're supposed to. One of the great things about this country is that we do have our own royalty. We don't give them titles like kings and queens, but it is within our grasp to change our situation, to change our stars.
Yet, in order to do so, we have to battle so many demons. And Levi literally looks up to God and makes a plea. And he says, why this? And what he's talking about in this case is lust and shame. Gorging on one and then the other. Twin addictions. Could both be quenchless? Come on, God, who made both quenchless? And is not so much of man's struggle, his dealings with his own lust and shame, that internal emotions, forget even the rest of the outside world.
I think that's true. I think that when you look at the struggle between lust and shame for most people, the time I think people first notice it is when they get, well, maybe they first notice it when they're a kid and they steal candy in a candy store. They want the candy so badly, but they feel bad about it after they left. The most iconic one is probably sexuality. You know, people who know that they shouldn't have a relationship with somebody and do it anyway. They just can't stop. You know, but feel bad about it. That's that whole lust and shame issue. It's an interesting thing. If you believe that we were imbued with that through some higher being, you know, is that struggle itself what teaches us grace ultimately? I mean, perhaps it does, and you see it in corporate life as well. You know, things like you know, greed on Wall Street. There were in the real estate debacle. There were many people who knew it couldn't last, but thought they could get in and get out. You know, whether it was your loan broker sitting across the table from you, filling out paperwork. You know, oh no, those numbers aren't going to work. Let's use these numbers. You know, it starts out with normal people not wanting to do the wrong thing, and it can end up pretty bad.
But Levi makes this point. He says, our revenue, talking about that money coming in, should be a byproduct of doing the right thing.
Right.
I had this discussion yesterday with one of the head honchos of Ernst & Young, actually.
Right.
And we were talking about, you know, the turmoil, and I said, but you know, you got to do the right thing. And he said, but you know, when you're making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, I said, no. If you really look even at Adam Smith and the founding of modern day capitalism and entrepreneurialism, what he said that would keep the ship afloat was that inherently within man is his desire, if anything, to be liked. And one of the things to be liked is to do the right thing, as Levi said. And you can see here that for some reason they may wanted to have done the right thing, but it wasn't any longer at the top of the agenda. It sort of fell, well, we're not doing anything illegal, so it slipped back. And once that slips back, that's how the cards begin to fall.